Just when you think romance is ripe, it rather sharply dawns on you that each sweet serenade is for the tourist trade. Any attractive native type who resolutely falls on you will give as his address American Express.
There isn't a rock between Bangkok and the beaches of Hispaniola that does not recoil from suntan oil and the gurgle of Coca-Cola. Why do the wrong people
travel, travel, travel when the right people stay back home? What explains this Tasmania to leave Pennsylvania
and clack around like flocks of geese,
demanding dry martinis on the Isles of Greece?
Take a train or an aeroplane for an hour on the coast of Brava. Then they'll see Pompeii on the only day that it's up to its ass in molten lava. It would take years to unravel, ravel, ravel every impulse that makes them wrong. But why, oh why do the wrong people travel when the right people stay back home? With all that Kleenex when the right people stay back home. With Oprah Winfrey when the right people stay back home. Won't someone tell me why the right people stay back home? Bon voyage!
I'm wearing a money belt. I've been wearing it all night. And in a couple minutes, I'm gonna whip it out. Yo-ho! You see, I'm evangelical about money belts because if there's two thieves in town, you're gonna meet them. The thieves in Europe target Americans. Not because they're mean, but because they're smart. They know that we're the people with all the good stuff in our purses and wallets. If I was a street thief, I'd specialize in Americans. I'd have a little card that says, Yanks or us. Now remember, they're not gonna mug you, they're not gonna knife you, they're just gonna pick your pocket or grab your purse. Solve that by wearing a money belt. Now remember, if there's a commotion, it's a fake commotion. It's designed to distract you. Pockets are being picked. Shoving match on the main square in Madrid, stand back. Pockets are being picked. Old lady falls down an escalator in Munich, stand back. Pockets are being picked. Now, let me show you this money belt. There it is. Now, you don't get at this for every nickel, dime, and quarter, right? This is your deep storage for select deposits and withdrawals. When you're wearing this money belt, man, it's luxurious peace of mind because all of your essential documents are on you as thoughtlessly and securely as your underpants. Do you ever think about that with underpants? Put them on in the morning, you don't even think about them all day long, and every night they're exactly where you put them. And now, when I'm traveling, my plane ticket, my driver's license, my credit cards, just as securely out of sight, out of my luxurious peace of mind. Now, I want to remind you, the beggars in Europe, they're not beggars. That's their friend. They're thieves. They say, euro, euro, euro. They want your wallet. If you understand that, and if you're wearing a money belt, it's no big scary deal. In fact, having a gypsy's hand slip slowly into your pocket is just one more interesting cultural experience. I'm in Europe for 4 months out of every year, and several times strangers' hands slip slowly into my pocket, and I just leave them there. They think I'm dead. They fish around, they realize there's not much to be excited about, and they're on their way. Don't let those two-bit little street thieves mess up your trip. Wear a money belt. Yep. You got think you're rolling there? Okay. Hey, ho! Come on, you little pooch! Boom, 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 boom. He discovered the light, which inspired in him an explosion of creativity. Is the hair just beautiful? My hair. I know. There's just, I don't know.
You just have to wait for the wind, that's all.
Are we ready? Let's go. Here. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I'm ready. I'm ready. Yes. Europe has all this incredible art, doesn't it? And the great thing about Europe's art is to understand the wonders of Western civilization right there. We've seen it in the television, we've seen it in guidebooks, we've seen it in beautiful magazines, but to see art in the flesh is really exciting. And who but the Seattle Men's Chorus would bring 3 great masterpieces all the way from Europe right here to this stage so we can appreciate some great art. And to make it even better, we've invited my favorite art historian, my favorite cloistered nun, Sister Wendy Beckett, to join us. Let's hear it for Wendy.
Hello, Mr. Steves.
Delight to see you, Sister Wendy.
Thank you. May I call you Rick?
You may.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's so lovely to be here in this wonderful auditorium with these very gracious and kind people. Now, shall we get to the art?
Let's go.
Oh, all right. Our first guest is La Peinture, sculpted by Auguste Rodin in 1902. Oh. Look at that fine musculature along the legs, the shoulders, the arms. Such powerful, vigorous lines. This depicts the art of thinking. The art of thinking. Let me look at my little book here to make sure I'm doing it correctly. Yes! It depicts the art of thinking as strength personified. Oh, lovely. Do you know that Rodin, he intended for La Peinture to be Dante contemplating his Inferno.
Well, he's contemplating his Inferno, yes. But he's naked. What's the deal?
Well, oh dear, well, for me, I believe the nude, with all its muscular form, it is actually represents here the human triumph over eternal damnation.
Now I see.
Yes. Thank you, Monsieur La Peinture. Now there are few other male... Now there's nothing more beautiful than the male body, as I understand from the books. But of course, none so beautiful as Michelangelo's David.
Oh. Michelangelo, they say he made it so realistic, but this looks like he could literally step off the pedestal.
Oh, and you know there's a controversy that surrounds David, as his penis, as you can see, is not circumcised. David, take off that ridiculous fig leaf. See. Take off your safety. Ah, there we are. Apparently, Queen Victoria, when she was shown the cast of Michelangelo's David, she was so shocked by the nudity that she had a fig leaf commissioned to hide his naughty bits. Oh, but his bits aren't naughty at all, are they?
You know, there's been similar controversies here in our country in the United States.
Yes.
Great art galleries, halls of government, even public television, TV programs have been showing the great art in all its fleshiness and actually getting in a little trouble with the sensitivities of the American viewing public.
Yes, the Americans, although they do love their art, they are quite squeamish and peculiarly so about the nude.
You know, I learned from your TV show that the body can be dirty or the body can be beautiful, depending on your cultural perspective.
Oh, you watched it?
I watched it. And also, when Michelangelo was doing David, he was symbolizing man stepping out of medieval darkness into the bright light of the Renaissance. And it was just natural for Michelangelo to show David naked in celebration of God's great creation.
I think I shall have you on as a special guest next time. Oh, lovely. Now, David, please promise me you will not return that fig leaf once we've gone. Oh, good boy. Oh, our other guest. Oh, this one. Oh, yeah. They're very good, aren't they?
They
Now,
appreciate fine art.
yes, they do. I'm so glad you're here. Now, oh yes, our last guest. Oh, I'm so proud of him. He was one of the great Renaissance masters, Sandro Botticelli, and his exquisite Birth of Venus. We understand that Michelangelo was, of course, largely homosexual, but we know precious little about Sandro Botticelli's personal life. I mean, there are hints here and there, but everything was quite subtle. Now, we know he never married, but of course that signifies nothing at all. Now, we know he eschewed the female company and would rather spend more of his time with artists of the day.
Wendy, as a cloistered nun so dedicated to the Catholic faith, don't you find it a little bit disturbing to be studying these false goddesses?
Oh, heavens, no. Anyone with a narrow sense of religion, whether it's Jew or Christian or Muslim or whatever, if they would just take a long and intelligent look at the great works of other traditions, they would see all the religions and what they have in common.
I like that. Well, Sister Wendy, it has been a pleasure having you with us tonight to heighten our appreciation of fine art. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Rick. And oh, that's lovely. And thank you, gracious audience, and thank you to our wonderful works of art.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sister Wendy. Thank you, Wendy.
God bless you all.
You know, I love travel because it exposes us to things we wouldn't be exposed to otherwise, doesn't it? It gets us out of our comfort zones. It sort of carbonates our lives. Now, these next couple of video clips are gonna take you places you'll never see on TV, all right? First of all, at least on TV here where we live, we're gonna go to Finland. We're gonna hang out in a sauna with some local guys in Helsinki, and they're gonna teach me the stimulating wonders of a birch twig spanking. Then we're gonna go to the Scottish Highlands, and a brawny young man's gonna show me how to toss the caber. And after that, check it out, we're going to the dusty, windy, vast lands of La Mancha to check out one very big bull. Yes, make this go down like so. That's good. No.
Okay, no, it's good. You're okay. No.
It's up pretty low.
It's very good. Yes.
Do me.
You?
Yeah. Can you do me?
Yes.
Keep up. Keep up.
Yes.
That's good.
It's good. You.
Travel certainly is stimulating.
All right, so. All right. Okay, let me get my hands underneath it, okay? Right. All right? Yep. I hope you've enjoyed our look at Scotland. Join us again. I hope you've enjoyed our look at Scotland. Join us again for more travel fun. I'm Rick Steves. Until next time, keep on traveling. Ready? Stop running. Okay.
Oh, yeah!
When traveling abroad in the continental style, it's my belief one must attempt to be discreet and subsequently bear in mind your transient position allows you a perspective that's unique. Though you'll find your itinerary's a blessing and a curse, your wanderlust won't let you settle down. And you'll wonder how you ever fathomed you'd be content to stay within the city limits of a small Midwestern town. Most vagabonds I know don't ever want to find the culprit that remains the object of their long, relentless quest. The obsession's in the chasing and not the apprehending, the pursuit you see and never the arrest.
Without fear of contradiction, Bon voyage is always hollered in conjunction with a handkerchief from shore by a girl who drives a Rambler and furthermore is overly concerned that she won't see him anymore. Trains and planes and toads and buses characteristically evoke a common attitude of blue. Unless you have a suitcase and a ticket and a passport, and the cargo that they're carrying is you. A foreign affair, juxtaposed with a stateside and domestically approved romantic
fancy is mysteriously attractive due to circumstances knowing it will only be parlayed into a memory.
You know, Europe is a densely populated place with a long history, and they've not always done a great job at living together peacefully. In the 16th century, they were burning Protestants. In the 18th century, they were drowning witches. In the 20th century, they were gassing Jews, gypsies, and homosexuals. It seems like now in the 21st century, they're getting it together. They're learning how to live together. I was just in Berlin a couple months ago, and it happened to be the Gay Pride Parade Day. There were 500,000 people out in the streets. as the Berlin gay community was out in the flatbed trucks for their parades, doing their darndest to shock the seniors lining those curbs. And they failed. It was a celebration of diverse and creative lifestyles. Europe has learned that a society has to make a choice: tolerate alternative lifestyles or build more prisons. And they choose the former. Now, in our country, we need to learn this also, and I think when we travel, if we have that vive la difference approach, we can have more fun in our travels and learn more from them. If you're an animal lover and you happen to be in the Dordogne, go ahead, check out that foie gras. If you're a teetotaler, have a glass of tea, but when you go to that German beer hall, slide on the bench with those Germans with their big beers and sing some new songs. If you are not a Catholic and you're going to St. Peter's Basilica, check your Protestant sword at the door and go in there as a temporary Catholic and enjoy the greatest church in Christendom on its terms. If you're a prude, take off some clothes. Take off some clothes with the Turks in the hammam, with the French on their beaches, with the Germans in their spas, and with those Scandinavians in their sauna. Remember, we've got an opportunity in our travels to celebrate these differences. And I'll tell you one thing, when we're thinking about traveling these days, America has more than its shares of hang-ups, taboos, and laws attempting to legislate morality. And the good news is, these are not required packing. And here's a travel tip that you might take to heart. If you've got any extra taboos or needless hang-ups, put them in a Ziploc baggie and leave them home. This next song is by Andrew Lloyd Webber, and it's sung around this planet as a gay pride anthem. course, Berlin's united today, but during the Cold War, Berlin was a city divided, a people divided, and lovers divided. Today, we have, coming from Berlin, Hilda Heinz, who's going to sing the lead song from a musical comedy that will be performed in Issaquah this June at the Village Theatre. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to welcome the lovely, if not charming, Hilda Heinz singing A Frau Divided. Hilda.
What a sorry state I'm in. Split like the city of Berlin. Ripped down the middle as if by a knife. This girl is the love of my life. Just like my native Germany. I have two halves inside of me. West I will help them, East I will not. West it's romantic, East it's a plot. Bring them together, keep them apart. Mine country, mine Howard, my duty, my heart. What am I ever to do? How it's tearing these Tüten in two. I am hopelessly mad as King Ludwig. I am perfectly lucid as Kant. In my head I know what I must do, but my heart's in a stew. I don't know what I want. I'm as wild and as woolly as Wagner. I'm as struck und as structured as Bach. I'm as sweet as a Rottweiler pup. I'm as tightly wound up as a Glockenspielclock. How this Frau is divided. Why am I so two-sided? I've a loving and generous spirit that's as lofty and large as an Alp. But when trouble appears, I am short and severe as a hair on an Aryan scalp. I am kind and as noble as Schweitzer. I'm as alienating as Brecht. And my personal style may be curt, even vile. And I swing like a Doppler effect. No, how this Frau is divided. But I'm still undecided. When he's near to me, I fly high as Lufthansa. When he's far away, I sink as low as a U-boat can go. And though most of the time I'm tough as a panzer, I'm fragile within with a skin that's as thin as a Hindenburg blimps. When he's gone, I'll be blue as the Danube. I'll be lonely as long as the Rhine. But it's equally clear that if I keep him here, he will never be mine. My two worlds have collided. What will come of it all? Is there no other way? Is it true what they say? A Frau Divided?
we're all going to sing Dona, Nobis, Pacem together. And that's the time when we're going to remember that music, like travel, can be a force for peace, a powerful force for peace. Today, we are a nation at war. And I'm troubled by the thought that America doesn't really understand the horror of war. Of course, if you have a loved one or have lost a loved one in Iraq or in Afghanistan or in Vietnam, you know what a war is like. But as a society in general, I question if America really knows the horrors of war. Europe knows the horrors of war. In the last century, 2 times, they've ripped themselves to shreds. Think about France, with 1/4 of our population back in World War I. On many days, single days, the French lost more people in one day in that war than we lost in the entire Vietnam War. 60,000 people lost today, 60,000 people lost next Tuesday, and twice the next weekend, until by the end of World War I, half of all the men in France between 15 and 30 were casualties. Don't ever let somebody tell you the French are surrender monkeys. They know what a war is. Later on, there was a town in Spain called Guernica that was destroyed by history's first aerial bombardment. And Picasso, so moved by this, put himself to work to create an incredible mural that shows the reality of war. If there is a single piece of art that is the national piece of art for the European Union, this is it, a statement for peace, because Europe comes out of a heritage of unimaginable slaughter in wars. In 1947, in the rubble of a bombed-out continent, Euro visionaries got together and decided, we've got to figure this out. We've got to find a way to grow beyond war. And European visionaries decided to look ahead and create a European Union. And for 60 years, they've been working on this. It's a tough sell. You got to talk nations into trading away real sovereignty to create a meaningful union. And it's been a fitful evolution, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. They've created a bumbling, almost laughable bureaucracy. They've created a powerful free trade zone. And fundamentally, they have created a society that is interwoven, that will never again go to war like they have every couple of generations for so long. That's the triumph of the EU. And when Europe looks at the United States, they see a trigger-happy nation. They see 4% of this planet that spends as much as everybody else put together on military, and they see a political environment where you can't even get elected without promising more for military. When Europe looked at the United States as we ran into the latest war, they saw Colin Powell in the United Nations in the Grand Hall there, eloquently selling the rationale for this war. And Europe knew that the visual centerpiece of that Grand Hall was this painting, a copy of this painting. And our government decided to cover it with drapery on that day so we would be not aware of the reality of war, so we could rush into a war of choice. In Europe, this is a very popular thing. This is the peace flag. You see it in front of European homes as commonly as you see for sale signs in front of our homes. You see it flying from City Hall balconies all over Europe, from Norway to Portugal to Greece. And when Europeans fly this flag, they're thinking about the United States, their friends on this side of the Atlantic. And when Americans look at that flag in Europe, they feel a little bit awkward. I hope and pray for a time that when Europe flies this flag, they'll think warmly of us and we'll think warmly of them. There's a lot of strife. There's a lot of strife in this world. There's a lot of misunderstanding that leads to violence. And whether it's trying to understand a neighbor who's different from you across the street, or to try to understand a nation that threatens us from over the seas, it is vital that we understand that the smart solution is building understanding and waging peace. Now, when we think about what's going on in the world today, I want to remind you that Europe has learned from the bitter pill of experience that war is a desperate last response. And Europe knows very well that in war, there are only losers. In a moment, we're going to join the Seattle Men's Choir after they sing some of Dona, Nobis, Pacem. And as we listen to this beautiful song, and as we sing along ourselves, think about some of these ideas. Contemplate on the power of peace. Thank you. next cruise. I've got tickets for another vacation on the Poseidon.
Sweet!